Hello and welcome to Ruler 3 Presents / Roy's Retro Review of Grim Fandango. Originally released in 1998 from LucasArts and is being published by Double Fine for the remaster and Sony. So, the reason I'm doing this as a double is because there's the remastered version I'm doing a retro, but I felt that since I'm not doing a true review because I'm not reviewing SpongeBob SquarePants, to kind of make this kind of a Roy's retro. So, anyway, for those of you who have never watched a retro review, I'm going to do it in the style of that. So instead of me doing gameplay or story gameplay verdict, the way it works is I talk about my past experience with it and kind of delve into the story and things there. My present playthrough, and then I give it a verdict, and it's going to get two verdicts, one from my retro review style, and then one from the normal violent system. But anyway, Grim Fandango was really the last big adventure game of the 90s. And I credit this, yeah, pretty much is the last big adventure. I can't think of another one. After this, you didn't really see adventure games as much. And so with that, let's get this show on the road.
All right, I believe. Meche?
Manny, help me. I've been lost for so long. Why didn't you look for me?
I did. You ran off. Why?
Because you said I was no good. I've been all alone in the world for a whole year. And it's all because of you!
So the story of Grim Fandango is you play as Manny Calavera, a travel agent for the DoD, the Department of the Dead. His job is to pretty much go into the world of the living and reap souls and try to sell them travel packages to earn his way through the afterlife, because he's done something in his previous life that has prevented him from being able to move on. So he's stuck at this job until he's able to kind of cover the cost of what he did. By doing this, he eventually lands a client named Meche, who through some weird conspiracy stuff is unable to get to the land of the living as fast as she should be able to, and this lands Manny into the middle of this huge conspiracy within the Department of the Dead and sends him on a 4-year trip around the world trying to find Meche and trying to find the answers of, you know, what's actually going on in the government. The story is classic, and I remember playing this as a kid, just loving the characters, not just Manny, but like Glottis, Meche, some of the side characters in like year 2 that I can remember, like Chimmy Charlie. He's an interesting character. Year 3's boat venture that in Under the Ocean was really good, and I just remember a lot of little details from playing this as a kid, which I'll talk about. My present playthrough actually helped me a lot. But it was just a lot of fun. I had a lot of difficulty with this game. It's one of the first games that I actually had to go up and look a walkthrough. Most other adventure games I was able to kind of guess my way through, but this one was really the first one to get a walkthrough that I had to use. Money well spent on that one. Had artwork in it. It was great. Anyway, but this was during my PC stint when I was heavily engaged in adventure games on the PC, as well as other LucasArts titles like Jedi Knight and Dark Forces. And it really, after Grim Fandango is actually when I fell off the PC wagon, because they stopped making adventure games. And I just, like I said, Grim Fandango just holds a special place in my memory and in my heart because of that fact that it was the last great adventure game I played before they really kind of died off. And then were revived later with The Walking Dead as I claim. I pretty much hold that responsible for the revive of adventure games. But anyway, back to the past. Is just everything about it was new to me, because I mean I'd been playing like Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, those, you know, pirates and kids and stuff, but nothing really aliens, but nothing really kind of weird, and they were all 2D palettes with kind of just cartoony looks. Grim Fandango was the first game that in my memory I can think of that was an adventure game that did this 3D animation, that was this different look where it was all skeletons in their land of the dead. The land of the living scene is probably one of my favorite scenes in that game, how they made them just obscurely ugly. It's so great. I love that scene in Grim Fandango. And it's just a lot of these environmental and physical and physic things were just so new and so cool that you really didn't see anything like this in a game at this time. Now it's commonplace for a lot of stuff, but back then I just remember being so amazed at this game,
Isn't
and
she beautiful?
I made sure
The
never to
last
lose
time I
that
was
game.
in
And I played it
Barcelona, I shared
constantly
a cell
through
with the
even
most
through the
dishonest
2000s until I
conman
really stopped playing
ever
PC
met.
games around
He was
2001,
strictly small
2002.
time, and I managed to steal this
Probably a
from
little
him
later, and then
quite
eventually I'm
easily.
back into it. But that's a different story.
You never
But
know
anyway,
when
it's
this may
just
come in handy.
my memories of
Hey,
Grim
give
Fandango
that
are
back
all
to me,
good.
Manny.
It was
Maybe
so
once you
fun,
settle
so
your bar tab,
engaging,
hey, Charlie?
such a good story, such great characters, such
Manny.
memorable lines, and everything about it
What
was
else could-
great.
Nothing.
Manny, if I don't ID these rose
Playing Grim
gardens
Fandango now
tonight,
pretty much
I
mirrors
won't
what
be
I
ready
remember.
for the
Luckily
train
for me,
coming
the
tomorrow.
hard puzzles in this game I was able to remember because I played this game so much, so that helped. But some of those puzzles, yeah, are still kind of difficult if you don't quite grasp it. I mean, year 2 I think has the hardest puzzles. Year 4 has a couple really tough ones. Year 1 and 3 get through, I think, pretty easy. But my biggest problem with the remaster, which is a very, very small problem, is there's no hint system for new people. And I feel like this game could have benefited from the hint system that's been put in the recent like Monkey Island titles that were remade to some extent, because these puzzles are so difficult. And they really will, I think, prevent some people from enjoying the fullness of this story. I mean, luckily we have the internet now and it has all these walkthroughs, and, you know, you can easily find one for Grim Fandango. Trust me, there's probably a billion of them to get through. But they should have had an in-game hint system to kind of help you a little bit more. But I mean, that's such a minor thing. I mean, luckily, like I said, there's the internet. But for those of you who don't have that, I mean, you kind of have to trial and error, which is kind of a shame. Story-wise and character-wise, they're still great. I mentioned in the past, I remember, you know, there's a lot of memorable lines. I forgot a lot of those memorable lines. I totally forgot about, there's a officer that you have to go see to get a metal detector, and she rants when you're trying to get it, and about her parents. When I was a kid, I remember that, and like, it was funny, but I never listened to the whole thing because I just wanted to get the metal detector and get out. After listening to the whole thing, that is probably one of the funniest conversations and most awkward situations in that game. It is perfection, in my opinion. But not just that, I mean, different conversations with the man underwater, with the whole moon thing, and understanding that a little bit more. I like how the remaster has the director's commentary to kind of give you an idea of what they're doing with this game and stuff. That adds some cool little insight. My biggest other problem with this game, which is something that didn't bug me in the past because I didn't know about it as much, because it was kind of the norm for some of these games, tank controls. With the Resident Evil remake too, but Grim Fandango especially, man, I hate tank controls. Tank controls are terrible. Which is why I'm glad in the remaster, you don't have to use tank controls. I'm using them because I'm trying to get the stupid trophy, but tank controls are terrible. I'm so glad that it's only an option in this game. For those of you who don't know what tank controls are, be glad you don't know what they are. Basically, instead of it being camera focused, it's literally directional, always focused. It's terrible. I hate tank controls. And it's never been more apparent since I started playing the Resident Evil remake and Grim Fandango remake that I've noticed how terrible tank controls are versus the modern control schemes. Other than that, I mean, the remaster is great. I love it. It captures everything. The HD visuals are great. The shadowing effects are great. Like I said, and it's the same Grim Fandango from the past. They didn't change anything. All the puzzles are the same. All the characters are the same. Like I said, everything's the same, and it's really cool to live in an age where Grim Fandango is back and makes me happy. Like I said, but on the whole, like they said, the game is still almost as I remember it. Like I said, the only things that I now know are just the tank controls and the hit system. Those two things were in this game. I think this game would have been almost the best thing since Sliced Bread.
What did they think? Or they want to continue to work with us and that kind of thing. And that's fine.
Who will stop the fat cats of industry from building these ships with the pollen of the exploited working class? I say we fight back!
What's this? Maybe a bee agitator?
I say lay down your tools right now and show the man just who makes the honey around here.
Like I said, Grim Fandango was the last great adventure game of the 90s. Until The Walking Dead, adventure games were dead. And like I said, I credit The Walking Dead Season 1 with kind of the revitalization of the genre. And Grim Fandango, I am so glad Lucas was sold to Disney and Disney was licensing things. Otherwise, this game would have never happened. So thank you for that, doing that, Disney. So I guess I'll get into the verdict. You probably already know the verdict from just listening to me rant about how much I love this game. But I'm doing it for, because I want to and have to. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm doing 2 ratings. I'm going to give it the nostalgia factor thingy rating and then the buy rent pass rating thingy. Once again, if you've never watched Roy's Retro Reviews, the way the system works is there's 4 ratings. Classic is the game was great when it originally came out. It is still great today. It's one of those games that you should probably go play. Either get an emulator for it or find some way to play these games. Fond Memories is the game was, I loved the game as a kid. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I liked it. I played it a lot. But it has a lot of flaws I can see today. And doesn't quite hold up over time. And, it's a good game in my opinion from, just from my memories. And the only thing that's really keeping me wanting to play is just kind of that nostalgia. But, I liked it as a kid, but it may not be as good now. Why didn't I like this game as the third, which is the opposite. It's, I didn't care for the game as a kid. But playing it now, I'm trying to figure out why I didn't like it, because there's just so many little things in that, or, so many things in that game that I like, that it doesn't make sense to my brain, other than my tastes have changed. And the last one is Terrible of Terribles. These games were bad on the release. They're still bad today. So for the Roy's Retro Review, this game is getting a classic. Obviously. This game is classic. I mean, it's such a good story. It's such a good game. On the buy rate pass things, for those of you who've never watched a Roy's review, or a Rule of 3 review, the way that system works is buy means the game is worth your money. Give the developers full money. I think it's worth the 60, 40, 30, whatever the developers wants on a release. They deserve that money. It's worth that much. Rent is twofold. It means either rent the game or find through either Gamefly, Redbox, or whatever. You can get it, borrow it from a friend if they bought it. Or buy it used, or wait for it to go on sale or something like that and buy it at a cheaper price, because it's not quite worth that full price tag. And pass means the game is terrible. Don't bother. This game is getting a buy rating. So this is a classic buy. Go figure. Anyway, that's it for Grim Fandango. Next week should be Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse. So make sure to subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, Twitter, check out ruler3.com for all the latest news. This Sunday, we got the next podcast going up for Trifecta Gaming News. Mondays, it seems like every other Monday, we got Personal Retrospective. Right now, I think they're working on Mass Effect 3 conversations, and then they'll move on to a different game series. What else? No, that's pretty much it. So until next time, always remember to trust in the Rule of 3.